Okay, so for your homework, you're going to have some grammar exercises, which are going to involve breaking. You're going to be given some strings, and you're going to have to say, are they sentences or not well formed, and then are they official or informal? And you're going to have to break them down into what are called parsing trees. And I'm going to talk about parsing trees in this video. So, what's a parsing tree? Well, so our first rule of the grammatical rule says that atomic letters between P, or capital letters between P and Z are sentences, and so capital P is a sentence and also capital Q is a sentence. And our third grammatical rule says if you have two sentences, you can put an arrow between them, parentheses around them, and you form the conditional if P then Q. Now we know by our first rule that P is a sentence. And our second grammatical rule, says that if you have a sentence, you can put a negation on the front. And so we can put a negation on the front of P, and we get a new sentence, not P. Now our third rule says, oh, well, if you have two sentences, then you can put an arrow in between them and parentheses around them, and you'll get yet another sentence. Oh, and you can also do that with conjunctions. So where each of those blue lines are, we're going from the parts of a sentence to a bigger sentence according to the rules. So on the bottom left, we went from P and Q, which are atomic sentences, to P arrow Q according to the conditional, or the third rule. And so the P and the Q are the parts, and then we get the bigger sentence, P arrow Q, with parentheses around it. And the same thing for the rest of the diagram. So this is a parsing tree. It shows how the parts of the sentence are put together, go together to make the whole big sentence. And at each step, we do it according to the rules. So, starting with atomic sentences, you can apply rules to make new sentences, and you can just go on forever if you want to. So this isn't necessarily done. We could say, oh, well, here's R, which is an atomic sentence, and we could put it in the antecedent of a conditional and put the big sentence we have here in the consequent, and we'd have an even bigger sentence. So the parsing tree, again, displays how was the thing at the top built up out of sentence letters, right? We start with sentence letters, we put them together, we build bigger sentences, we put those together, we build bigger sentences, and so on until we get to until we decide we're done and we're happy with our big sentence. So if you start with the sentence with a big sentence, on the other hand, you can break it down. So instead of producing the tree by building up the sentence, you can say, oh, I've been told this is a sentence, let me break it apart. So at the first step, you would remove the conjunction because it's the main operator, and you would get the parts, the P or Q as one part, and the negation P on the other hand. Are we done? No, because our tree needs to break down to the ultimate parts, which are the sentence letters by themselves. So we need to break the conditional into the P and the Q. And we need to break the negation down and get rid of the negation and be left with just the P. And once we've done all that, we've broken the whole thing down to sentence letters. And there we go, we're done. So that's a parsing tree. And the parsing tree, you can either sort of build up a sentence, or when you're given a sentence, you can break it apart, and you get the same tree. It's just a matter of going from the bottom or going from the top. So if you're going to parse a sentence, you're going to break it apart. So in each step, you identify the main operator, and you break the sentence into its immediate parts. And then you just keep doing that, which, like I just did, and you're done when you get to the sentence letters. And that produces the sentences tree. So in the module, and I'll show you this in the next video, but you'll be given a string, and you'll have to say, is it a sentence or not? If it is a sentence, is it in official or informal notation? And then you'll have to break it apart. If it's a sentence. If it's not a sentence, then it doesn't have a tree, right? Because the tree says, here's how the sentence was built according to rules. So you can only build a tree for something that was built grammatically, because it's showing how it was built grammatically. If it can't be built grammatically, there's no tree for it. Right? So here's something that's not a sentence. A, then Z. No, this is not a sentence. Why? Because A is not a sentence letter. P parenthesis Q. No, we don't have a rule that lets us put parentheses between sentence letters like that. And so just to be clear about this again, a tree shows how a sentence was built according to the rules. Those strings are not well formed, they're not sentences, and so they're not built according to the rules, and that means because they're not well formed, they don't have trees at all, and so you won't have to do them. So that's what you need to know, the background, in order to do the parsing in the module. In the next video, I'll show you how to do it, and as you'll see, it's very straightforward. It's actually, in a way, the easiest thing you'll have done yet. So let's get going with that.